An introduction to Aguinda versus Chevron. The case against Chevron in Ecuador was brought by U.S. plaintiffs' lawyers and funded by hedge funds and other speculators. They hired an army of consultants, lobbyists, and PR specialists to manufacture evidence and spin a false narrative. They even made a self-serving documentary film, Crude, as part of their multi-billion-dollar scam. But through discovery obtained in the United States, Chevron has exposed the fraud using the lawyers' own videotapes, emails, and internal documents. This unimpeachable evidence, including over 600 hours of video outtakes from Crude, vividly depicts the falsification of evidence, judicial corruption, and government collusion permeating this sham litigation. Although the lawyers claim to represent 30,000 indigenous people in the Ecuadorian Amazon, there are in fact only 48 named plaintiffs, and many of their signatures on the complaint are forged. Maria Aguinda, in whose name the suit was brought, told the Crude film crew that she didn't know she was suing Chevron. The plaintiff's lawyers got her to sign on to the lawsuit by telling her she was signing up for free medicine.
4 meses voy a traer medicamentos para que usted se cure. Pero primero que firme aquí en ese papel. Le han hecho firmar. ¿Ya? Después, en 4 meses voy a volver. No ha vuelto en 4 meses, sino al año. Cuando Manuel Pallares y abogado Cristóbal Bonifaz lleguen acá diciendo de que usted es una demandante o juicio a Texaco. Ahí supo que ella había sido demandante. ¿Ya?
The truth is that this case has never been about helping indigenous people. The lawyers even admit the named plaintiffs will recover nothing under the judgment. U.S. lawyer Stephen Donziger was taped explaining his incentive for taking the case.
This is a plaintiff's law to make fucking money.
Nor was the case ever about the actual facts.
We need to make facts that help us, and the facts that we need don't always exist. It's another key point about litigation. You have to get the right facts. And if they don't exist in an obvious way, you got to go figure out how to make them. Otherwise, you're going to lose. Now, I once worked for a lawyer who said something I've never forgotten. He said, facts do not exist. Facts are created.
Texaco Petroleum, or TexPet, a subsidiary of Chevron, spent 3 years and $40 million remediating its 1/3 share of the former operations area and on community development programs, all of which was overseen and approved by the Ecuadorian government. Because TexPet had fulfilled its obligations, the plaintiffs' lawyers had to resort to forgery and fraud, falsifying even their own paid experts' reports to claim that there was contamination.
I did not reach this conclusion, and I did not write this report.
They then paid Stratus, an environmental consulting firm, to ghostwrite a $27 billion damages report in the name of Richard Cabrera, the supposedly independent court-appointed expert. Plaintiffs' lawyers trumpeted Cabrera's independence and denied colluding with him while simultaneously paying him through a secret account.
So it is a fact that the Cabrera report was in part written by Stratus, isn't it?
Stratus wrote up parts of the report, or materials, I should say, that were adopted by him verbatim. So, with that caveat, the answer to your question would be yes.
Excuse me, when we went through this on Saturday. When you say materials, we're talking about actual drafts of text which were then adopted verbatim in the Cabrera report, both in April and then again in November, correct?
Yes.
This fraudulent scheme was exposed when Chevron uncovered the final draft of the Cabrera report on the plaintiff's lawyers' computers, attached to emails where they confirm they were putting the finishing touches on the report before Cabrera would file it, unchanged, the next day. Meanwhile, plaintiffs' lawyers and consultants secretly acknowledged they had no evidence of water contamination in internal emails. Without scientific evidence showing contamination or harm, the plaintiffs' lawyers tried to intimidate judges and exploit what they admit is a weak, corrupt, and politicized Ecuadorian judiciary.
And the only language that I believe this judge is going to understand is one of pressure, intimidation, and humiliation. And that's what we're doing today. We're going to let him know what time it is.
All the judges here are corrupt.
They're all corrupt. It's their birthright to be corrupt. Why? Because they get paid so little.
You know,
It's the culture. It's disgusting.
The shocking extent of their fraud was discovered in U.S. courts. When the Ecuadorian lawyers found out that a U.S. court had authorized discovery of their internal documents demonstrating their collusion with Cabrera, one wrote to Stephen Donziger, "The effects are potentially devastating in Ecuador. Apart from destroying the proceeding, all of us, your attorneys, might go to jail." Now, after an $18 billion judgment with no basis in science or law was issued by the Ecuador court, experts discovered yet another fraud. The judgment itself was ghostwritten by plaintiffs' lawyers. Language from the plaintiffs' lawyers' and consultants' internal documents appear verbatim in the judgment. In the end, the plaintiffs' lawyers' case is best summed up by U.S. lawyer Stephen Donziger.
Say whatever you want. In the end of the day, if there's 1,000 people around the courthouse, you're going to get what you want. This is all for the court, just a bunch of smoke and mirrors and bullshit. It really is.